Thank you, everyone. I'm super glad to be here and talking to you. Um, so I just wanted to quickly tell you a little bit of things about myself, about the company that I work for, and then talk to you about the emerging market opportunities and tell you about the lessons that we have learned from deploying Dolphin to over 100 million users worldwide. And the technology that we use, it's a lot of HTML5 and hybrid native and HTML5 combination of apps. So I will tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Iran. Then I went to high school in Italy. Then I went to Canada in university. Then I went to Microsoft in US to work. Then I went to Microsoft in India to work some more. And then I went to Microsoft China. I left Microsoft China to set up my own company in China. After a few years, I went back to US, and I'm just about to move back from US to China. So I have been around the world and bring a lot of experience in international software development and deployment. And along the way, I've been really lucky to have worked at Microsoft on many, many different products. I worked on Windows, Office, Windows Mobile, Bing, and now Dolphin. Let me quickly tell you about Dolphin so that you have a context for the rest of the presentation. So Dolphin is a browser for iPhone and Android. We have over 100 million users today, and we're growing very quickly in many different countries around the world. The key things that makes us differentiate us from other browsers is that we're a mobile-only browser. The only thing that we do is mobile. And we have really concentrated on creating the best mobile experience since the beginning when we created Dolphin. We were the first browser to support fully HTML5 standard since almost a year and a half ago. Now other browsers have slowly came on board and adopted that HTML5 standard. We integrate with different cloud services and different applications like Facebook, Dropbox, Evernote, and in China, Sina, Weibo, and many different partners around the world. And we bring all of that richness of different applications and content into the browser. And we ship our browser both on Android and iPhone, and all the way down to Android 2.3. And we bring a lot of that HTML5 technology that we have built into the browser all the way down to these older Android browsers and create a consistent platform for all the developers to target. So let me really tell you about emerging market opportunities. A lot of companies or a lot of developers are really focused on European market and Western market or Korea and Japan, that high-end market. But there is a huge opportunity in emerging markets. So today's internet is really built by the most famous properties on today's internet are built by American companies, but today they're used mostly by people outside of US. If you look at Google, these are numbers from end of 2012, so a little bit old, but Google has 1 billion users. The majority of users are outside of US. Same as Microsoft, Facebook, and Yahoo. Only Tencent and Baidu are foreign companies outside of US that have really been able to capture these users. And if you look at the next set of 1 billion users that are going to get access to internet and are going to come online and they're going to have smartphones, the majority of these users are going to come from all these emerging markets. They're going to come from China, from India, Indonesia, and Iran. If you look at India, the internet percentage of population that actually has internet is only 11%. And India is a billion-plus country. And overall, if you consider the top 15 countries in the world, internet penetration is only 34%. We have another 60 to 70% more people will get access to internet. And the majority of this bulk of users are coming from emerging market. Today, they're growing at the rate of 15% year over year. So if you really want to position yourself for internet and mobile industry of the future, you have to go after these countries. And I'll tell you about how Dolphin is tackling that problem and the lessons that we have learned, and hopefully you can benefit from that. So what do these emerging market users look like? The most important thing is that they're mobile only. These guys have not had a PC, and the first internet connected device that they get is going to be a mobile phone, and is going to be a smartphone. Today, they don't have a smartphone. It's a little bit, the smartphone is outside of their price range, but I spent a lot of times in China and have seen a lot of innovation in terms of hardware that is happening there. Today, you can find pretty good devices in China that are around $50 to $100 range. They're a little bit buggy, they're kind of problematic, but problems are like, there's like so much innovation trying to address those problems. In a year, you will have very, very good quality, $50 to $100 range devices, and you can manufacture this at scale. There is just a lot of manufacturing capacity that is producing these phones today in south of China, but nowhere else in the world you can see them because all of it is being consumed by the local China market. But the moment that local China market gets saturated, or when the capacity of these manufacturers increases a certain threshold, all of these new smartphones are going to spill out. And they're going to dominate all over the world. And they're going to be Android. Sad to say, I worked at Microsoft for 10 years. But unfortunately, they're all going to be Android phones. So another characteristic about these next billion new users is that they have, per user, they will generate very little volume. So it really requires a new way of delivering services and content and things to them that you have to expect that you're not going to make a lot of money per user. But there is a lot of them. If you can make a little bit money from all of them, overall it adds up. They speak many languages and cultures. They have, in India alone, there are 400 different languages that are spoken, about 40 different official languages that they have. South of India is completely different from north of India. They speak different languages, different culture. They're just very, very different. So even though India, for example, is a big country, but it's actually it's a bag of very small regional countries. And then these set of users that are coming in, they're mostly uneducated. This is the first high-tech device that they have. Imagine a poor farmer in India or China, and they get a device, and this is the first really complicated device that they have had. And if you present them today's very sophisticated internet of Western world that has been evolving for over past 15 years, and now it's very complex, they don't know how to use that. They don't want it. And I will show you an example of what that means and how we solve that problem. So a lot of innovation today is happening in India, Korea, and Japan. Not just in terms of technology, but in terms of monetization, in terms of partnership, business opportunities. There's this is the hub of mobile. As I said earlier, if we assume that the next billion users are going to be primarily mobile users, Korea, Japan, and China are really in a strong position to dominate the internet of tomorrow. You can see a lot of innovation from Naver, Line. Samsung has an amazing brand, globally available, super high quality. And Gree in Japan, they make amazing games. WeChat in China, they're just growing like wildfire. Taobao shopping site in China, they could deliver something to you, buy it in 3 to 4 hours. They have done a lot of innovation outside of just technology. And these are the things that make sense to this new 1 billion users. These are the technologies that, or innovations that are really going to be useful in that market. But Korea especially is poised, that you're ready to dominate a global mobile industry. The reason is you already have created amazing brands that are worldwide known. there's almost no one on the planet that doesn't know who this guy is and doesn't know how to do Gangnam Style. But it's not just that. It's Samsung, it's LG. These are super well-known brand in US. People trust their life with Hyundai and Kia. They driving these cars. And it's outside of that is Hyundai Industry for shipbuilding. It's Hanjin for shipping. So there's a lot of depth in the brands that Korea has built worldwide. So I think that Korea especially ready for dominating this new markets. So let me tell you a little bit about Dolphin's story and the lessons we have learned. So we started Dolphin in 2009. Several of us were working all at Microsoft China, and we left. We were searching for ideas, and we experimented with different things, and eventually we landed on a browser. And because we were very, very early into the Android market, we were super popular. We had the best browser for many years, and just through word of mouth, we spent very little money or no money on marketing. Just through word of mouth and being present in the App Store, we grew to be about a million users in 2010. Then in 2011, we got Series A funding of $10 million from Sequoia, which is super good. Sequoia and Matrix partner, super prestigious VC in US. That really helped us accelerate our growth, and we quickly reached to 10 million users, and from that point on, we had bigger partnerships with telecom operators, KDDI in Japan, China Telecom, and we reached 50 and 80 million users. And in a short while, we're going to announce actually that we have 100 million users. So when we were just purely in the App Store, we were growing at the rate that App Store was growing and the Android market was growing, which is great. But we really thought about, and we really went after trying to figure out how could we accelerate that growth and grow even faster. And we came up with a bunch of new innovation that allow us to just sort of break out from the pack of other applications that were in the market and grow even faster. So here are 10 lessons that we have learned in the past few years of building and marketing Dolphin. One is that you have to talk to your users. Your users are global, they're all over the place. Just by sitting in your office and your desk in your own country, speaking your own language, you're not going to be able to understand what they want and create a product that works for them. I challenged my team in Beijing to go and find Russian users. We wanted to create a Russian version, and they were like, hesitant, they didn't know where to go, and I'm like, you're in capital of China, every embassy is in here. Every embassy has a whole bunch of support staff and restaurants and people Russian people that are out there, and they still weren't hesitant to go. So I got a bunch of people in a taxi. We just went straight to the embassy. Went across the street, there were a bunch of Russian restaurants. We went into a Russian restaurant and started talking to Russian waiters, Russian customers, and we asked them, show them our browser, asked them a bunch of questions. How much does the phone cost in your country? How much do you pay for internet plan? Can you introduce us to some friends that you're in Russia? You have to be innovative actually getting hold of your users. You really don't have to go travel all over the world. You can find these users in your home country, wherever you are. The next lesson was that you really have to iterate fast. You have to be able to come up with new ideas, put it out there, test it. If it doesn't work, take it out, put the new idea in there. We ship the Chinese version of Dolphin every week. We add a bunch of new features. Sometimes we add something, sometimes we remove it, but we are consistent, releasing every week. At the beginning, it was really hard. We spent most of our time managing the release and sending emails around, and we wasted a lot of times in releasing. But now we are a machine. Very little, everything is automated. Testing is, everyone knows their role, and we just ship features. The US version, a little bit, we are slower. They're just, it's not as much things that we are experimenting with, so we ship that a little bit less frequently. But you have to learn how to iterate fast. And to be able to iterate fast, we moved a bunch of functionality that we have to the server. And we really heavily used for our own purpose HTML5 JavaScript, CSS to basically create a quick way of experimenting. When you move all of your logic to the server, then you can know where your users are coming from. You can segment your users and give them very quickly different sort of experiences. And it allows you to experiment fast, faster than even you can ship your content as an application and wait for people to download it. In a server, one day you can test something, next day you can test something else. So it just really helps you accelerate the rate of the innovation. And we use the native layer mostly for caching, for creating offline support. The other thing is that if you want to reach this many users, they have so many different needs, they have so many different languages that they speak, you have to be able to ship quickly, and shipping quickly is not, doesn't jive, or it's not easy to reconcile that, shipping quickly and quality. Sometimes you have to ship lower quality things. So if you assume that you are going to ship bad code, your code will have bugs, and you will have to disappoint some users, you assume that you will have this, then you can build into your application A/B testing and allowing you to quickly roll back. You test something, it doesn't work, it created a lot of support issues, you quickly roll it back. If you assume that you will ship bad quality code and you create a path for you to recover from that, it really frees you from not spending so much time in testing, not delaying your releases, and be able to ship weekly. So what we do is that we have a config file on the server. We tie all of our features to the config file. The config file gets downloaded, and the config file dictates like which segment user you're in, which set of features you're going to see, and then we can roll out features like to 2% of our users. We can just ship a feature to 2% of our users. If users like it, we measure, monitor our KPI. If that's okay, we ship it to the rest of our user base. And then the next thing is that you want to localize your app, not just translate it. So here's an example of our US version of Dolphin Browser and the Chinese version of Dolphin Browser. And then we have a Russian version, we have an Indonesian, we have an Indian version. And we try to make each of the version really customized for that set of users. At the beginning, when we released Dolphin, we only addressed the US market. The Chinese market, all the other Android markets were too small for us to really spend our energy on. So when we were pretty popular in the US version, we just got our US version and basically translated the links and everything into Chinese and put it in the Chinese App Store. It did horribly bad. Like the retention rate was like 5%. 95% of people would uninstall it. Because people installed this and they looked at it and they said, this is not fun. What do I do with this? What is this? They didn't know that this is a browser. They didn't know, because this is the first, they never had a PC, they had no expectation of what a browser should look like. So what they really wanted, after lots of studying and testing and showing different prototypes, we realized what the Chinese users wanted was a content box, not a browser. A browser is a tool that allows you to discover internet. A content box is a place that you open it up. There's a lot of interesting things from internet has come to you. So we bring a lot of content, video, news, images, other interesting apps into the browser. The moment you launch the browser, you get this experience, and this experience is a lot more engaging. Our retention rate is dozens of, like an order of magnitude better than before. We are now really expanding and going to these other markets, India, Russia, Indonesia, and we really want to understand what those users want. What is their expectation of a browser? What kind of content they like? What kind of services they use every day? And we bring that services to them. So we have a range of things that we can do for these markets. So the kind of things that you want to do, bring a lot of local look and feel into your app. Cartoons or objects in your game, if they feel more Indian, they would appeal to the Indian users. If they're more, they have certain elements, they make the user much more comfortable and they understand what this thing is. you should avoid probably flags or political things. They just alienate a bunch of your users. You use one flag, and people don't like it, and they just associate you with a political message, and you don't want that. And sports teams and celebrities are also like that. If you put sports team in US is Dallas Cowboy, you put Dallas Cowboy in as your background or something, you make 95% of people happy, but only 5% very happy. So you can just try to pick up artwork that appeals to a broader audience. Another resource that we really use is translation. It's called crowd-in. You use your own users to help you translate your application. And that allows us to quickly translate our apps into so many different languages. So now that you have created your app, and if your app is purely HTML5 based, or you can ship it in the native app stores. The bulk of our users really still get their application through the native app store, and you don't want to ignore that. And there are tools like PhoneGap or Trigger.io that allow you to package your HTML5 app into a self-standing package, and you can ship it into the native app store. And PhoneGap especially and Trigger.io, they have an amazing build package. You submit your app, you press a button, and they build you an Android APK, an iPhone, a Windows Mobile package, and even BlackBerry package. And by going into the native app stores, you have all the access to the in-app purchasing API, to the payment that the app stores provide you, and you have access to the ad network. Trigger.io actually does something even more amazing. And as you know, if you have shipped apps into the app store, it's just you're so much more slower. You have to wait for 1 week approval. But if you ship your app as a packaged app in the Trigger.io, they allow you to update your app instantly without having to wait for Apple's approval. Because your app is purely JavaScript files and that their platform just downloads, they allow you to bypass that. So they allow you to really accelerate your innovation. And you can create a HTML5 app, and if that's really successful, then you can convert it into a native app. If you want to really reach all these audiences, emerging market audiences, you have to be able to reach them by search. If by search, they have to go and find your app, or they find your app store, and then you will lose many, many of them to download your app and wait for it to download, have to make an upfront commitment of 5 megabytes, 10 megabytes of commitment to your app before they know what it is. And in many countries, in India, for example, people are very conscious. They don't want to spend 5 megabytes of bandwidth. They have to pay for that. And if they don't like your app, by just 3 screens, they don't know what it is, they're not going to make that investment into your app to really learn what it is. So what you really want to do is create a light web app that can be reached by search. People can find your app by search, and they can play around and basically know what you're about, get some experience, and then when you have sold them that much, then you can upsell them in downloading your app and really making a commitment to having that app on their phone. There are many different app stores, web app stores, that are becoming popular. We were the first one that created a web app store inside of Dolphin. Amazon just recently, a couple of weeks ago, announced that they have a web apps store. There is a new famous framework for JavaScript that allows you to create JavaScript-based app that looks super beautiful. They're about to release their app store in this month as well. And then this Tresensa is a game company that has a HTML5 app store. So if you have created an app store, just submit it everywhere and make sure it's accessible by search. And we are sort of living in a very interesting time. There is just so much innovation going into JavaScript, CSS, and HTML5 platform. There is so many different frameworks, from Knockout to Backbone to Angular. There are just so many different frameworks that allow you to create very, very rich Java applications, and they make that process much easier for you. And using HTML5, you really have access to audio, video of the device. You have access to the phones and contacts of the device, and you have You get the benefit of hardware acceleration, WebSockets. So you really can do everything you want, almost everything that you want, just using HTML5 apps. Yes, you can create a hardcore game, but for normal applications that have menus, that they have a web service, they go and download some contents, they allow you to have a detailed master view. All of these things can be very well done with just HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS. There are a lot of these kind of platforms, and just like 2 weeks ago, there was a very big conference on HTML5 in San Francisco, and the two new things that I saw was this. Phone.js is a jQuery mobile kind of replacement. jQuery mobile has a lot of issues. The slow transition between pages are slow, and these guys created a super beautiful framework that allows you to create JavaScript applications that on Android phone look like Android native, and on iPhone look like iPhone native apps, and on Windows Mobile look like Windows Mobile. And again, purely based on just web technology, and the framework, JavaScript framework that they use is Knockout. Another one that we have sort of been waiting for these guys for almost a year. They announced at HTML5 conference like last year. They showed amazing demo of what you could do with just pure JavaScript. Is famous. They use a technique which use matrix transformation to move these objects. And if you use matrix transformation, all of that load actually gets offloaded to GPU. So it's really fast. And they're coming up with a framework, and they are releasing it this month. So you can just go to famous website, sign up, and they will send you an email when they release it. They have a really good physics engine that is built into it. They can do really great animation, smooth gestures, and bounces, and things like that look very real. There are a couple of other game frameworks. Laudai is mostly based on Canvas. Tresensa they have HTML5 game API that you can use. And I just learned that SK Planet actually has a team that they also have like amazingly cool GUI for creating CSS3 animation, and you just drag and drop things, and it will produce you the animation code in CSS3. So another thing that you wanted to do if you wanted to reach these emerging markets, you have to partner with people that have content, partners that have content, and services that are used in India, in Indonesia, in Vietnam. So you, because you're like, we are from US, if we go to Vietnam, we have no idea what someone says this newspaper is very famous, and they want to partner with you to show their content in Dolphin, and we would say, okay, sure, no problem. There's very little way for us to judge the content. It takes so much time to research, to figure out who is this partner, is the quality good, is it political, is it not political, should we partner with them, are they going to have are they a reliable partner, do the users like it? There are just so many questions that you don't know, and you just don't have time to figure that out. So the best thing that you can do is to expect that your partnerships are not going to be good, and only few of them are going to be good. So reduce the cost of doing partnership to absolute minimum. Without almost sending any emails, one of your business development people can go make a partnership with someone, get their content feed, plug it into your app, and now you have content from another service provider in your app. And if the content, you measure it. If the content is making your users happy, sticky, making them spend more time in your app, great, you keep it. If not, you just kill it, you go to the next content partner. So when in a place where you have to have hundreds of deals, you just have to have a framework for dealing with partners and kill the ones that are not good. The last one is actually something that is very interesting things, that in China today about 5 billion apps are getting installed every month, but only 15% of them are actually installed through Google Play. The rest of them get installed through many other ways. So if you have an app and you want to ship it in China and you only ship it in Google Play, this is your addressable market. So you have to figure out who these other guys are and how to get your app published into that. And because we wanted to grow in China, we spent a lot of time and energy making deals with, there are 400 different app stores in China, making deals with all of them to put our app store, our Dolphin browser into their app store, and figure out every time we have an update, how do we tell them that we have an update and push a new update to them. And we have a lot of deals with OEMs to preload our apps and pre-install it on the devices that are being sold. There are a lot of PC tools that people use to manage their phone and back up their contacts and push apps into the phone and delete it. So we partner with these guys to push our apps into the phone. So as I showed you at the beginning, where we were growing pretty steadily but linearly, we used our knowledge and research that we did in these app stores and in these other distribution channels to really accelerate. That's how we got to 100 million users, and we have like several 100 million users actually deals in place to be installed in the next couple years. So you kind of want to, in each market, China is a little bit specific, but these kind of things are happening in each of the local market. You want to go there and research that and publish your app into that and do that. And you can say, like, maybe, why should I publish my app or my game in India? Like, how am I going to make money out of India? If you are there, one of the first games, and you gain a huge market share for your app in India, then there are other people who want to reach your users. You can promote their game. Like Facebook wants to reach another billion people in India, and they don't have no idea how to reach them and how to get their apps installed and how to promote them. If you have a game that is super popular, Facebook will pay you to have Facebook ads to tell people about Facebook and have them download Facebook app. So if you just there and grab land, you can monetize that later. So the future of internet is going to be super bright. The future of mobile internet is going to be bright and is going to be very unexpected. If you look back and what the internet looked like in the past 10 years, the internet of future in the next 10 years is going to be very, very different, and they're going to have surprising things in there. Thank you very much. I will be happy to take any questions.